Folks, welcome back to Flatirons Tuning. We're here with your SubaNews for the 4th week of May 2026. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got to talk about Forza Horizon. We got to talk about the brake issue. We're going to dive into the brake issue that we had here in our Pikes Peak car, tell you where we're at with that. And we've been to the track again. So I want to tell you what the results were of testing the car at the track for the second time and how things are shaping up for the Pikes Peak Hill Climb here in a handful of weeks. Before I do that, I want to make sure you like, subscribe, hit that hype button if you see it. That helps us out a ton. We really appreciate your support. That's what lets us keep coming back to make these videos for you. All right, let's dive into it. First, at the top, Forza Motorsports. If you are playing Forza, search Flatirons Tuning under the liveries. And what you're going to find is you're going to find our logos and our liveries of like our Pikes Peak car, our rally car. You know, we're going to put up a bunch of liveries for you. So if you like the cars that you've seen through the years of our race cars, we're going to start putting all those liveries up so you can run them on your cars. And we want to see what you guys are doing with them, see what your Subarus look like with their liveries on them. And hopefully you guys enjoy those. We're excited about it and hope you're excited about it and you enjoy that. So now we got to talk brakes. All right, so if you remember from the last episode, we had just installed the Delta ABS unit into the Pikes Peak car. I want to explain what the issue was that we were having, and we've basically solved it. I'm going to say that we've solved it, and I'm going to tell you what the problem was and what the solution was. All right, so come on, let's get in the car. What is the problem that we ran into? Here's the problem. So we took out this factory ABS actuator, we put in the Delta ABS unit, we followed their directions to put fluid into the system initially. So we used a vacuum system to pull the fluid through to each corner, and then we bled the brakes per their instructions. And this is the problem that we had. With the car off, brake pedal, you push the brake pedal feels good, right? Turn the car on, with the car running, and all of a sudden the pedal would just drift basically to the floor. It got really soft. Turn the car off again, pedal feels fine. We spent a lot of time troubleshooting this issue, and we bled the brakes more than you would think was humanly possible. We pretty much diagnosed that there was air in the system, and we have bled the brake system every way possible, including manual bleeds, pressure bleeders, vacuum bleeders, triggering the ABS to bleed it. Again, probably every way that you could possibly think of to bleed the system to get the air out. We saw that we were getting some air out, but it never really helped with the pedal feel when the car was off to the car running to the way that the pedal felt. But we have, I believe, found the process that we needed to get the pedal working properly, and we've been to the track now, and everything worked great. So I can say with moderate certainty that this is what works. Let me get out of this car, and I will explain what that was. Folks, this video is brought to you by Oil Filters, and specifically Roger Clark Oil Filters and Subaru Tokyo Rockies. At Flatirons Tuning, we do our best to have all the best oil filters that you might need for your engine. We've done all the testing, we've cut them apart. Go check out those videos. But we do think that the Roger Clark oil filters are your best option for your modified Subaru, taking your Subaru to the track, high power applications, etc. If you got a daily driver, make sure you get the made in Japan Tokyo Rockies that we stock on Flatironstuning.com for you. That is going to be your best bet for your car, and we at Flatirons Tuning, we're doing our best to have all those good filters that you need. And while you're in there doing a change, make sure you pick up a Roger Clark oil funnel. Keep things nice and tidy as you're putting oil in the car. We've got magnetic drain plugs from Roger Clark, Nameless, even Subaru OEM. We've got everything that you need to do an oil change on the site. Greatly appreciate your support, and now let's get back to the video. So with the Delta ABS unit, what this gave us the ability to do was to trigger each individual solenoid as we were doing it. So what I mean by that is, like, so if we're bleeding the right front corner, we can actually bleed or trigger the right front solenoid only, and then bleed the caliper. We could bleed or trigger the lift solenoids, each individual corner solenoid, and that's what we did. And we went around the car a bunch and did that, and it helped a very little bit, but it did not get the pedal feeling like we expected. Ultimately, after a lot of trial and error and a lot of searching, what we found mention of was the fact that driving the car, jamming on the brakes, and getting into ABS was different than actually just sitting here manually triggering a solenoid. That's what we did, and that actually is what ended up working. Specifically, the process is we would basically bleed the brakes with a pressure bleeder on the master cylinder. We're forcing fluid through from the master all the way through the system and out to each individual corner. Then we would go out, hit the brakes hard 5-10 times to get into ABS, all of those 5 or 10 times. And we would come back and use the pressure bleeder to bleed the system again. This is when we started to see air coming out, and this is where the pedals started to come up once the car was running. And we have done that at this point, boy, probably 10 times, maybe even more than 10 times, meaning we'd go out, hit the ABS 10 times, come back, bleed the system once. We've done that whole rotation about 10 times. It's been a ton of work, but we finally got to the point where the brake pedal feel is consistent. And now that we've tracked the car, we've spent 20 minutes on track multiple times, no fade issues. It really seems like this has fixed the issue. And where we knew for sure that we had an issue is, with the car running, you wouldn't even get the brakes to engage until the brake was way below the gas pedal, which is just not what it's supposed to be. Gas pedal level has basically been our threshold. We want to get the brakes to feel like they're engaging right at or above the gas pedal, and that's finally where we're at. We're probably still going to do this a few more times, but it seems like even triggering the solenoids here, it's just not the same as putting full pressure on the brakes, standing on it while the ABS is triggering, multiple times. Like, I can't exactly explain why, but we found mention that other people have run into the same problem, and that's what worked for them, and that's what works for us. So if you have a squishy brake pedal that only is squishy when you turn the car on, but you turn the car off, you bleed, everything's fine, and minimal air comes out, you might just have to get in there and trigger ABS. It has been a challenge, but we're so glad that we're finally getting towards the end of this, and the brakes feel great. The ABS works great. Now let's talk about going to the track. After we fixed the issue with the brakes, we went to the track, and here's where we currently are. And what I gotta say, so much of this comes down to the fact that the car is now running reliably. That is what is letting us have the time and basically the mental space to focus on actually improving the car versus to just keep it running. Last year at this time, we were already starting to have these overheating issues. Probably by our second track day, we had already, pulled the engine, tightened things up again, or switched it out. I can't even remember which. We've already had the engine in and out multiple times last year. This year, the engine is running like a top. We've now got lots of data logs on track. Oil pressure looks good. Coolant temps, coolant pressures, everything looks good. The engine is running just like we hoped it would last year. And so tribute to the guys at Turning Concepts, this closed deck block, 14mm fasteners, all the things that were done to the block itself, that seems to have been the best solution. And now finally the engine in the car is working consistently and reliably. So now we can really start fine-tuning things. This is where we wanted to be last year, but now we're here. So the first thing we've done, we have new uprights. Reached out to the guys at Liveries. We had them make us a new set of uprights that are about 6 inches taller than last year. That gets the wing up above the roof line. And we've already noticed that this improves the effectiveness of the wing. And we now have the ability to really dial in the rear downforce, which is really great. Now, the other thing that we've done is we've played around with the DCCD. So we've been going out, turning laps. The car's been consistent power-wise, and so we've had some handling issues. So now, because the car is running reliably, we have the ability to actually drill down and focus on fixing these just handling issues, whereas last year it was just all about keeping the car running. The problem we were running into was some understeer, especially at corner exit. And we were looking at doing some pretty significant suspension changes to try and counter this. But as I've been playing around with the DCCD controller, I realized, well, wait a minute, let's look at the DCCD mapping. Is there anything we can do or try there to see if we can fix this issue? And honestly, if it is something to do with the DCCD mapping, we wanted to know that so that we could correct that and then give a more proper assessment to whatever the suspension is doing. So we tried a few different things with the DCCD. Not only did we find that was part of the problem, we found that there was actually a huge amount of improvement that we could get from remapping the DCCD. In fact, when Nigel was out there testing the car out, just doing no other change but going from one DCCD map to the other, this new one that we created, we found almost 2 seconds in lap time, and the car handled significantly better just by making a change in the mapping of how the DCCD behaved. So that is a huge impact for changing that mapping, and we didn't spend a lot of time chasing a suspension setup. We found out that a lot of the issue that we were having was actually down to how the DCCD was engaging or not. So we feel really good about that, and ultimately the net result is that the car is now basically 5 to 6 seconds faster than we've ever been around the track before. And with the combination of the engine behaving reliably, the ABS now working better than we've ever had before. I mean, the Delta ABS, it is awesome. It gives us exactly what we've always wanted with ABS, so that's great. And now fine-tuning the DCCD mapping, Scott is the most comfortable that he's ever been in the car. He got out of the car after driving it on track after making all these changes and said the car has never felt this good. He even thought we had tweaked the engine, which we did not do. I promise you, Scott, we did not do that. But everything just felt better, it felt faster, it felt more comfortable. As we're now coming up to testing on Pikes Peak, we're testing on Pikes Peak this very weekend, May 30th and May 31st. this is exactly where we want to be now, where we're fine-tuning the setup of the car is behaving reliably, and we can focus on making Scott more comfortable in finding time versus just trying to keep the car running. So it all comes down to reliability. This is why having a reliable car can be so important, because that's what lets you fine-tune all of these other little issues to get the car to be more consistent, more reliable, more confidence-inspiring, and at the end of the day, just plain faster. And we've found a lot of time already. I think there's more time to find. So we're going to get up on the mountain, we're going to test the car, shake it down this very weekend. So the very next SubaNews, we'll have some footage up for you from Pikes Peak. We'll see how that all goes. We got basically 2 weekends of testing, a week off, and then June 21st, Pikes Peak Hill Climb. It's right around the corner. Holy cow. Can't wait, but man, a lot is happening, but cannot be more happy that the car is running as well as it is. And again, big thanks to the guys at Turning Concepts for all the work that they did on the engine. Yeah, I mean, things are starting to shape up. That is the latest of what's going on with the Pikes Peak car around at the shop here. And thanks very much for watching. That is your SubaNews for the 4th week of May 2026. And until next time, stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning.